Thank you. Shul, it's so great to be here today. So nice to see everyone that's here with us. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Lisa Marie Barron, and I am the federal NDP candidate representing Nanaimo Ladysmith. I'd like to acknowledge with deep respect that we are on the traditional territories of the Nanaimo First Nations. Also located on this beautiful riding are the territories of the Snanawis, Staminas, and the Layakson First Nations. I'm grateful to have raised my 2 teenage children on this territory and to call this beautiful land that we stand on today my home. Hi, Sapka. You know, as I look around today, just outside the doors, we see so many small and medium-sized businesses, and I can't help but reflect on my own upbringing. And the reason why I reflect on my own upbringing is because I was raised by parents who raised myself and my 3 brothers through a family-owned food cart business. So if you think of a food truck, same thing, but a food cart. Now, in this business, we each contributed, we each had a role to play, and this business helped keep a roof over our heads and food in the fridge. Unfortunately, too many small businesses like the one that I grew up in have been struggling since COVID. I know of far too many businesses who have been forced to close their doors, leaving too many workers unemployed and small business owners without an income. Being part of this community, I see firsthand the impact of Justin Trudeau's Liberals continuing, despite being in a pandemic, to line the pockets of the ultra-rich, while small and medium-sized businesses like the ones that surround us today continue to struggle. We need to do better. I think of businesses like the one that I'm in today, who continue to positively contribute to our community through so many ways, including employing local community members, through making the choice to have sustainable, environmentally friendly business practices in their day-to-day. We know that through supporting local business, we are supporting local community. I want to join Jagmeet and the federal NDP in Ottawa to fight for small businesses, to be part of the solution of building a stronger and more vibrant community for my children and for yours. I'm thrilled to be here. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. It's so great to see everybody in person. And now I would like to pass it over to our amazing leader of the federal NDP, Jagmeet Singh.
Thanks so much. That was awesome. Thank you, Lisa Marie. That was amazing. Thank you for being here to the media. Yeah, as Lisa Marie was saying, we've seen a really clear trend in this pandemic. We've seen big box stores and large corporations make off like bandits. They've done really well. They've seen, in some cases, record profits, while small businesses were largely ignored and their situation was forgotten. And in particular, we're here at Funk Revival in Nanaimo. Funk Revival is a business that started up pretty much in the pandemic, and they did not qualify for any help. There are many businesses that did the exact same thing, started up in the pandemic, and obviously felt the impact of it with less people coming through the doors, with lockdowns, but weren't able to apply for help. This is just another example of how small businesses were ignored and forgotten. Justin Trudeau didn't respond to the needs of small businesses. We fought hard to get more help to more people, and now we're proposing a plan to continue to support small businesses. First off, we need to make sure that small businesses that were opened during the pandemic, that were denied help, get that help. They need that help desperately. And we need to make sure that that help continues for as long as small businesses need. So while we need to cut off the support to the large big box stores and wealthy corporations that took help and many of them didn't even need it, that should certainly end. And we should put in place an excess profit tax on companies and businesses and large big box stores that made excess profits in this pandemic, meaning they made profits off the backs of people in this pandemic. They should pay their fair share. And we should invest that into small businesses that need help, to continue the wage subsidy and the rent subsidy to businesses that need it, to make sure that we support small businesses in hiring or rehiring staff through an incentive where we can waive the CPP and EI contributions for new hires and for rehires. We also need to make sure that we are continuing that support in a way that's long lasting, as long as these small businesses need to get back on their feet, That's our vision. That's our plan. We are going to continue to fight to make sure Funk Revival and businesses like Funk Revival get that help. And with that, I want to hear the story. I think it's important for people to hear the stories of what small businesses have been going through in this pandemic. And so that's why I'm going to introduce Brooke and Kat to tell their story. Thanks so much for letting us be in your store. And I'm excited to hear from your story. Brooke and Kat.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Brooke. This is Kat. We actually started this, well, we didn't start this business, but this business actually started 11 years ago prior to the pandemic. And a man named Greg Badger started it. And he was struggling with his mental health. And unfortunately, we lost him due to his battle. And he unfortunately passed away 3 years ago, and in which his father took on the business. Donald Badger took on Funk Revival. And when the pandemic hit, he decided that it wasn't really for him anymore. He's 80 and lives in Edmonton, and it just wasn't his gig anymore. So he wanted to actually shut the business down, which is kind of when we as employees kind of stepped in.
Yeah, we decided that, this was a really important spot in the community. It was a place where people came to be themselves, where they could feel safe and comfortable shopping. It was also affordable. It was also a way to recycle clothing and keep it out of the landfills. And we just thought that to see it go would be such a devastating thing for the community. And so in that, we, Funk Your Fashion actually completely shut down. And then we decided to make an offer and take it on. And in that, because we had to get a new business license and rebrand due to the original business shutting down, we found that we fell into this really weird spot where we didn't actually have any support, because during the pandemic, what was available to people through COVID and relief funds was for businesses that had a record standing of 18 months. And technically, we had 11 years prior, but as a business number, we actually were a brand new business. And so we found ourselves with nothing. We couldn't get a bank appointment because no one was taking appointments. We were struggling to find loans. We ended up having to go through our personal ties, and we just found that we were really, really struggling in that sense.
Yeah, we actually stressed every option that we could too. We searched as much as we could. There was wage subsidies that we could potentially apply for. And then after more research, we actually didn't qualify for any of them. There was rent subsidy out there. We once again didn't qualify for them. So we tried our best to find something. And then, yeah, like she said, unfortunately, we had to source inwards and find a local loan just for us to be able to continue onwards. And if we didn't have community support, which has been huge in even making this business even move forward, we honestly, I don't know if we would have been able to even push through it. We've got so many consigners here that continue to support us daily, and we are just, in a sense, really lucky for just that. But when it came down to it, all the COVID relief funds, once again, didn't apply to us. So yeah, but that's pretty much our story. And yeah, I'd like to hand this off back to Jagmeet.
It's a little bit of a dance there. A really big thank you to Brooke and Kat for sharing your story. And when you share your story, both Brooke and Kat, you're sharing a story of a lot of businesses that have gone through the same struggles. Donc, un grand merci à Brooke et Kat. Aujourd'hui, on parle de la grande différence du réponse du gouvernement par rapport aux petites entreprises et ce qu'ils ont fait pour les grandes entreprises. Le fait qu'ils ont complètement oublié l'importance des petites entreprises et comment on doit les aider. On a proposé un plan pour aider les petites et moyennes entreprises, et encore, on souligne l'importance de faire ça. Et c'est pourquoi on est aujourd'hui à une petite entreprise pour montrer l'importance pour les communautés de encore aider les petites entreprises. Avec notre plan, c'est exactement ce qu'on va faire. So thanks so much. I'm ready for any questions you might have. Thanks again to our incredible candidate, Lisa Marie, and thanks again to Brooke and Kat for sharing your story.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. So we'll start with questions in the room. If there's a question in the room, please go ahead and ask your question.
Question is for you, Jagmeet, and also for you, Lisa Marie. I know we've had a lot of elections here in Nanaimo Ladysmith recently. It seems like we're on the eve of one. Aside from an election, what is your biggest focus for the riding here in Nanaimo Ladysmith?
Certainly. I'll start it off. Appreciate the question. So we've heard a number of things were crises before the pandemic, and they didn't go away when the pandemic hit. So lots of folks are focused right now on what do we do to recover? How do we get past this pandemic? That should be our first priority, making sure we get everyone vaccinated and making sure we get past the pandemic. And once we get past it, we need to make sure we're recovering, and we've got a plan for recovery that focuses on workers and small business. And so that's what we're going to highlight, how we get help to people and how we get help to small businesses to keep people employed and to create good jobs. We'll be announcing our jobs plan very shortly, which will lay out more details, but we really need to make a focus and do not what the Conservatives have done in the past, which is to give blank checks to large corporations, hoping that it'll trickle down to workers. That has not worked. And Justin Trudeau's approach, again, without having clear strings attached to make sure that the support goes to job creation, that is not going to be the approach that New Democrats take. We're going to focus on getting help to people and making sure the recovery is focused on them. We also want to make sure that we focus on healthcare. People have been really worried about their health, and that's why we need to invest in it. And housing is another major crisis we've seen before the pandemic. It continues. People can't find a place to afford that's in their budget. We need to fix that, and we've got a plan to do that. So those are some of the things that we're going to focus in on. And Lisa Marie, did you want to add anything, or is that?
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Just quickly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. And everything Jagmeet said is right on point. Thank you, Jagmeet. I guess just an acknowledgement that I have deep roots in this community. I've been working hard for many years to help build this community into a more sustainable, vibrant, healthy community. And, you know, quite honestly, I've made a promise to my children that I want to make this community into a healthier, more sustainable place for them when I'm no longer around. And so this work is a continuation of the work that I've been doing for many, many years. And at this point, I know that continuing the fight with the federal NDP alongside Jagmeet Singh is the way to move forward and to be able to bring all of the supports and resources that this community deserves. And so I am most definitely here for my children and other children and the future generations to help fight for people and for the environment. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa Marie.
Thank you very much. Is there a follow-up?
No follow-up.
So we'll come to questions online. So I would like to invite members of the media who are on the Zoom webinar to please use the raise hand function to ask a question and follow-up. J'aimerais ça inviter les membres des médias sur la plateforme Zoom. Si vous avez une question, veuillez utiliser, s'il vous plaît, la fonction lever la main pour poser votre question et question de suivi. Je ne vois pas de questions en ligne. I don't see any questions online. I would like to go back to the room and see if there are any more questions in the room. I will see. I hear no more questions. So this concludes our press conference.
One more question.
Hey, Nina, yeah, just
Yes.
one more question.
Absolutely.
No pressure though.
Yeah. How are you feeling currently about our MP Paul Manley and the Green Party? What do you think about what they've been able to do here in Nanaimo Leagues?
Well, I can say with full confidence that in this pandemic, we have been the only party in opposition that's actually fought for and won victories that have made people's lives better. And I understand how important that is. When people were down and out, Liberals were trying to do the minimum at every step of the way. They didn't want to bring in CERB. We had to fight hard to bring in CERB. And then they tried to exclude a lot of people. We broadened it and make sure more people were included. They started off at $1,000. We said that's not good enough. For a lot of people, that's not going to even cover rent, let alone food and other bills. So we fought to double that. That meant nearly 8 million Canadians got $1,000 more a month because of us. It's clear in this pandemic, no other opposition party has led the charge in fighting for and delivering help that people need. We wanted to make sure small businesses got help. And so we increased the wage subsidy. We fought for a rent subsidy that actually worked to make sure that it actually wasn't based on a landlord. It was actually the tenant that applied first. So we continue to fight to get help to people. And we can say with lots of confidence, when people were down and out, New Democrats were there for them and fought to get them the help they needed.
Just going to check one last time. If there's a question online, to please use the raise hand function to ask your question. And I would like to also check in the room if there is another question. I see no more questions online. I hear no more questions in the room. So this concludes our press conference. Ceci met fin à notre conférence de presse. Merci. Thank you.
Merci. Thanks so much. Great to see you all. Thank you. Merci.